1 year sober. Today marks the day that I stopped using all kinds of substances, and I fully lasted for 1 year. It's been a hell of a year. I have to say it's been tough at some points, but to anyone that's trying sobriety, I mean, it's not a straight line for sure. Not a single drop of alcohol, not a single smoke of weed, and it's definitely changed me towards better, and the changes are not necessarily like very visible mentally. I mean, I'm definitely clearer in my thinking. Everything's sort of, I'm still experiencing like a lot of struggles mentally. Like there's a lot of unwanted emotions. I mean, there's a lot of feelings that I don't want to deal with. And I think that's what happens when you become sober. It's all the feelings that you didn't want to feel, that you were blocking with alcohol, with drugs, all come rushing in, and you don't know how to deal with it. So you go for a run, you go for a cycle, you start drawing, you start doing things that before you would block it by using a substance, and now you can't use it. I mean, you can use it, but you're gonna go back to square one. But what I've noticed is kind of unconsciously, like you don't even notice it happening, but your life starts to get back to, or maybe not get back, or just get into the calm state. It's your everything kind of stabilizes. You find a job that you can last in, and it sort of finds you. But what you have to do is remain sober. You can't go back to the old life. Doesn't matter what happens. That's why it's 1 day at a time. You don't go thinking that I'm gonna last a year. No, you just go thinking that I'm gonna last today, and sometimes that's hard enough. You don't need to think about 10 years from now, because sometimes it's just little steps, little bit by bit, that you have to learn to live. And with those little steps, big things start to appear in your life. People start to come in that are actually good for you. You're not sort of surrounded by toxic people. You're not surrounded by toxic environment. You remove yourself from people that are damaging you as a person, as a personality. You start to find new you. Because if you've been always using some kind of substance and it's not getting in your way, then it's fine. If you don't feel like this is obstructing you from your life, then go ahead. I wish I could drink like consciously. I wish I could smoke a little bit and not feel addiction, but I can't. I know that I can't just have a toke, I can't just have a sip. I have to go full on, and it's not even enjoyable. It's like consuming something. You just want to consume. Same with like an eating disorder. You don't know what happens. You just eat loads, and then you're sitting and you're like, what did I just do? It's kind of the same with relapsing on drugs or alcohol. It's like you're living your life and all of a sudden, boom, you just have one sip. You thought it was going to be one sip. It was going to be a nice chill evening. Ends up being a bender for a few days or a week. And you don't even have to be drinking a lot, you know, because I think once you hit some point in your life where you can have one beer and the next day you will feel like shit. And I think I've reached that point where not a single drop, you know, not a single toke, nothing. And reaching this milestone a year is pretty much of a like crazy experience, you know. You feel proud of yourself because I think this is the best thing that I have, you know. But I couldn't do it without the groups, you know, group therapy, meeting with other people, other alcoholics that share their experiences in their life. You know, they help me a lot, but by just being there, you know, they don't give you any advice or anything. They just be there with you in the good times and the bad times. And I'm super grateful to people. And I'm grateful to you because you've been there for a whole year, because I haven't even done this channel for a year, but it's been a great experience and a healing experience, and I recommend it. So you've been a lot of help, so I want to thank you. And yeah, if anyone wants to try this, I suggest getting help from a group, because doing it on your own can really, you kind of feel like you can do it, but there comes a point where you just want to hang out with people, and who you're going to hang out with. You go and hang out with people that drink, and you say, oh, I'm just not going to drink. And the first time you might not drink, the second time you might not drink, the third time you'll think of it. The fourth time you will be like, maybe I'll have a glass. The fifth time you will start drinking again. So when you find a group of people that don't do it with you, you feel like you belong, you know? So there's a sense of community, a sense of family, and these people help, you know? But there's some people that do it on their own, but I think it's very tough doing that. It's very tough when you mentally, I mean, some people jump into exercising, some people jump into work, like workaholism, and it's not really the fact that you don't drink or don't use, it's how you are as a person. If you don't change by stopping this, if you're not learning how to change, because I think what it was for me, and I'm learning this in the last couple of days, that's why it's so refreshing being sober, and I've just never wanted to change, you know? I just wanted to be the same like I always was. Like, I was like, this is just how I am, and I'm not gonna change for anybody, you know? But I wasn't thinking it out loud. I was thinking it kind of quietly. It was at the back of my head, you know? And until I got sober and started to hear all these thoughts, like consciously, and just being in a calm environment like the groups, then until that point I didn't hear those thoughts. But once you start hearing them, you kind of want to change, you know? Especially meeting people that you get close with, and you form like close relationships with. You notice that you want to be with these people, but you can't be the same person that you always were, because it's not good enough. So you think, I'm gonna change. But sometimes the old thinking starts to come back, and you're like, no, I'm not gonna change for anybody. And then again, you become on your own. You stay alone. You cut off relationships. You realize that you went back to the old thinking, and that's not what you want to do. Like, because you become lonely again. Like that, this disease is like disease of loneliness for sure, because you feel isolated, and the only friend you've got is alcohol and drugs. So yeah, I think that's how I would explain addiction, is like being really, really alone. When you separate yourself from everybody, and you can be surrounded by people as well and just feel really alone. Just feel like nobody gets you, nobody understands you. So you drink more and more into an oblivion. So anyone that wants to try it, I highly recommend it. It's a path. Once you start going on it, and if you're lucky enough, because there's like a 0.06% or something that of people that start to get sober and they manage to stay sober, and all the other people, they don't manage. So if you manage, you're one of the lucky ones. You're one of the seriously just lucky ones, because it's not an easy task to do, and not everybody can manage it. And I think there's interference of some higher powers, because so many times I thought I could have gone the way of addiction and just not found a way back. But there was always this sense of conscience, always a sense of, I wasn't born with the joint in my mouth. I wasn't born with the beer in my hand. So why am I doing this to myself, Like, why am I going down these dark paths that look like the path that I'm going on now, that I can't find a way out of it, But there was always this kind of little tiny bit of light at the end of the tunnel that was telling me, there's a light here. There's a light that you can find. Just follow this path, just follow the path. You know what to do. You really, deep inside, you really know what to do. When you stop lying to yourself, you really know what to do. So do it. I highly recommend it. And you're gonna change, and you won't even notice it. You're gonna change, your surroundings are gonna change, you're gonna feel better. It might get worse before it gets better. You might feel worse at first, but you will feel better later. And it's all because of old stuff trying to clean out. Your whole body is, the alcohol sets in your bones, so it needs to get out of your bones in order for you to feel better. So I'll still be recovering for a long time, because if I was drinking since I was like 13 or 14, then it's quite a few years, 15 years. So I'll be 45 when I will have lived as much life without alcohol as I would have lived with it. But I can't be running before I start walking, I don't know if I'll be sober today. I don't know if I'll be sober next year. But I avoid certain environments, I avoid certain people, and quickly you start to notice that you're not even surrounded by the same people anymore. You're you find new people, you find new persons, and these people are way better for you than the people from before, you know. But I don't say they're not my friends. They're still my friends. I just can't spend time with them because I can feel them very strongly. You know, I can feel the desire, the urge to get to the next place, to get to the whatever they're going, next festival, next this, next that. It's like, why can't you just be still? Why can't we just relax a bit and be still and have a conversation? There's always a need to rush somewhere else. But I still have that, to be honest. I still am always thinking about the next thing that I need to do. And I'm not calm. Like, I've got a lot of shit on my mind at the moment. But I notice there's a job that I have. I'm studying. I'm meeting new people that have good influence on me. And I'm proud of myself, you know? Like, one thing that I haven't felt, like, this is kind of like birthday vibes, you know? When you feel like you're 1 year old, you're a 1 year old, you know? So, I'm proud of you. Keep doing you. You know, even if you're using a substance at the moment and you can't get off of it and you don't want to get off of it, don't. Use it, abuse it, do whatever you feel like you need to do. Because in the moment when you're really enjoying it, and if it's not bothering you in your life, you know, why to stop it? I was asking a question, why am I using it? If I'm happy, if everything's good, then why am I using it, you know? I was asking that question, but I guess it depends on the questions that you ask yourself. You know, I always wonder how good things can be if I wasn't using things. And they're becoming better, you know? I don't always see it. Sometimes it's hard to see the woods from the trees, hard to separate it. Because you just see wood, you just see a tree, you know, a thought. And then when you take a step back, you're like, oh, there's a whole forest. So I can't possibly control all of this. I have to let go of control. I have to flow, you know, like silk on water, as my mom told me the other day. Just watch things flow. Watch how you flow. Take a step back and watch how all the things are rolling. And you're doing good. So if you don't feel like stopping, don't, you know. It's not the right time. When the right time will come, and it does come, you will stop. I had to stop because it was destroying me on the inside, you know. On the outside, things weren't that bad, but I felt so bad. Like, when I stopped, I felt like I lost something, you know. I felt like I lost a big part of me, like a friend. You know, there was a feeling of loss. And I had to deal with it because I had to realize that that wasn't my friend. You know, when you're with a person that you think that is good for you, but you feel like shit, is that person good for you? You know, after you meet somebody and you separate and you feel like shit, like, is that person really good for you? You know, so when I lost the wanting to drink and to use, I felt like I lost a friend. And then I realized little by little that I was probably surrounded by people that weren't that beneficial for me. So I removed myself from that environment instantly. And yeah, I found myself in the woods, the woods of my own psyche, and started to try and battle it, but until I came to a group, to be honest, and shared my story and heard other people's stories, I didn't realize that I wasn't the only one. I felt like I was alone. I felt like I lost somebody, but I didn't know that I can be sober and happy. So thank you guys. Really, really big thank you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and your surroundings. Love yourself. That's the most important thing. And then you will love everybody else around you. So hope you have a great day, morning, evening, nighttime. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and peace. That's a nice sunset there, but you can't really see it. Take care.